If anyone's watching, can you tell me if this is live? Or you can hear me, sorry. I had to take so much dust off the microphone. Paint dust, obviously. Has to be a detail. Dude! Oh, Scott. Oh yes, the shed's nice and warm, thank you, Scott. Right, so we have... I don't actually know what model this is. I think it's a Montec. Anyway. Customers asked for no lights and grills, so makes life a little quicker painting. It's obviously the new compressor you can get. Well, new since last time I streamed. A little bit louder than the last one. Ah, Mr. Madison. Hope you're well. What I like to do is hold the shell up to a light source and see if I can see through the paint. If you put it on a table like that, it looks solid. If you hold it up to a light, you can see where bits of patching. How warm is it in the States at the moment, Scott? What's here at the moment? I mean, I've got the heating on now, so it's up to 18 in here. 19. I've got it at 19 degrees in the shed because I've been having some heater problems this week. It was absolutely miserable in here the other night when I didn't have the heating working. Right, that's the black done. So I like to flash it off with a hairdryer on low. Just got caught under a log heater. Edge needs a little bit more. So it's good. I mean, if I come back to this more regularly, I need to get a bit more savvy with the old microphone again. I'm slightly distracted because I'm listening to the football results on my headphones. Because obviously I'm not allowed to stream music or anything like that on here anymore because of the copyright and fun police. Right, this body shell is going to have, if I remember this correctly and written it down right, yellow along this bottom splitter. It's not a splitter. Skirt. Then white running through to the back boot. Then red round the front splitter, round and up onto the boot lid and up the sides of the rear windows. Then yellow there, and then white there, and then yellow round there. Simple, I think. What I did, I'll show you a picture of. I mean, I've done this a couple of times for my friend. So it will look something. It'll look something like that. If I can reach. That's a good point. If I've got any red, because the red that I was using. Oh, too red. As the batches have turned a bit pinky. Probably the wrong light to be showing it in, but that proves I'm actually using a red. So it's neon red. Doesn't that sound nice? Sorry. Those are all that's all the pinstripes that I've picked out. So I've already probably spent an hour with just a craft knife. Then probably another hour with my measuring device and a pen. And then the evening before I masked it up. You can see it hasn't completely gone off. It's bone dry. I'm still learning this new recipe of bitty. What I found, these are just my findings with it, that I do a very thin dust coat, and then if you hit it with too much heat, it starts to bubble and go a very dark red colour, and it starts to crinkle a little bit. So what I found is a light coat, and then set it off with a hairdryer on a really light heat. Then a thick coat, and then I just leave the thick coat overnight, and then all day while I'm at work, and then come home, and generally I find it's gone off. But it hadn't, so I had to wait till this morning before I could start cutting. So it's had 24-ish hours to go off, and it hasn't completely. It's ever so slightly cloudy, but I'm impatient and I've got so much to do and no time. This new version of this this liquid mask, this bitty stuff has been a bit of a challenge to learn. I now really like it, but who likes change? Then it's a case of just picking out the correct bits with a pair of tweezers. Should really have been paying more attention to what bit I started picking. It's very odd not doing headlights. So let me just double check. So that goes up there. Right, yeah, that's right. Just making sure I wasn't picking the wrong bit. It says I've got 13 viewers. Where's everyone watching from? I know Scott's watching from the States. You know, so everyone said hello. I used to do this a lot during the lockdowns, and then I got slightly disgruntled with it and stopped. But I decided I'd scare myself again and have another go. I haven't made any plans of what I'm doing. I just thought I'd come on and see what happened. But I had to, as I said, I had to dust off the microphone, I had to find the webcam, and I think that sounds alright. I use a pair of tweezers, so you can't really tell in this. I don't pick from the very point, I pick 2 or 3 centimetres back and then pull into the point. So I don't pick out the point of what I'm working on. If that makes sense. I always have this little game with myself to see if I can pull the liquid mask off in one bit. Because obviously if you've done this for any time and length, you'll know getting the right thickness is key. If you have it too thin, it comes off like confetti, and you could be sitting there for an absolute hour trying to pull little bits off. Obviously too thick is better, but too thin is a real issue. Right, and then that goes, that's it. Hi Michael. Right, Right, so now I'm going to put some shading. Where is my... what did I use? I used dots. Right. So I've got here, it's vinyl for... we go up to London, you see the buses and they've got vinyl stickers over the windows, but you can still see through it. Well, this is what this is. So the idea of this body design, this paint design, is cartoony style. Arizona, San Antonio, Texas. Jeez. Hashtag worldwide. So this, over the course of time, has lost all of its tack, so it won't stick to anything. So you have to physically hold it where you want it, but it also means it has a habit of blowing off when you're and shadowing the wrong bit. So low PSI, and try and work with it so it doesn't blow under and out. Have I got anything to show? There you go, just make it out. So I've broken my lights in the back of the shed. So I say broken, the light bulb went and it blew the fuse in the house, which kind of blew up the oven. So I wasn't really the most popular person for a long time because it blew the oven up while I was trying to cook a roast dinner. Now, I didn't realise the oven had blown, so I went and set the lights back on, and the internet, which my kids had absolutely shit themselves over, had gone out, and then wondered why the dinner was cold. So that was a very expensive light bulb blowing, because that was a new oven. Now obviously I'm trying to make this look as cack-handed as possible, but it's just a case of just working around and keeping the stencil close and keeping the angle consistent so you don't blow underneath. It'll kind of make sense when I've finished, but you can't really see. I mean, this is a really bad thing to do when I'm trying to live stream, because you can't see what I'm talking about. Right, where else do I have that? So what I've also learned, and this is what I tried to do, is less is more. The temptation is to absolutely throw this sort of subtle dotting everywhere. Did I have it in there? I did, right. It's a lot of it is learning the PSI to spray at, which is kind of unique to you, because there's so many different variables. It's what needle are you using, what paint, because the viscosity of the paint will change the pressure it comes out at. Can you tell I'm really rusty and a bit nervous of doing this? So I've got 14 viewers. I remember when, I think it was lockdown 1 or 2, you know, when everyone was really bored and they were just watching paint dry on the internet. Well, I had, in 1 month, because I had looked at the analytics on on Facebook, I had 65,000 views to my page in a month. Which I was quite chuffed about. Right, did I have any of that in the front? I did a tiny bit there. I don't know if I'm going to do that. Because I'm not doing the lights and grills, I don't know what stickers he's sticking on. So I think that's that one done. Right, so I always have a couple of marbles. What I do is I distill my paint down. So I buy these 240ml bottles, 8 ounce, for you non-metrics. And then I distill it into what I use are the old the reducer bottles. One, because they're quite handy size, and two, they're always dead clean because it's just had reducer in. And I have a shoebox where I just keep all the old bottles. So I've got an abundance of bottles. So what I do is I distill a lot of that into there and then seal this back up, because I've found if you open a brand new like 60ml bottle, I generally find it goes off within a month. So I have a couple of marbles in there, and then I fill this up every so often from the big bottle, so the bottle lasts longer. And I'm now going to do my super secret flicky technique. So if we could all look away for a second while I do the magic. So if everyone could just like close your eyes and turn away. Mr. Wilkinson, hello. Now, I have an excuse, which is brilliant, but I'm just going to be honest and say I haven't had time to get round to it, and I can't really explain until I finally know what's going on with the mini little tour I had last Friday. If you follow my page, you'll know where I was, because I couldn't help myself and had to tell everyone. And then I was ill over Christmas. And generally, as a rule, I try not to paint too much in December, because proper work goes a little bit silly with the Christmas rush. So if I get that again, kind of see the dots, and it's a kind of lottery as to how you can't really regulate with the super secret flicky technique how much you get. You just kind of, after a while, you learn how much paint you can use or not use. Is the screen really dark? Because what I'm looking at, it looks like everything's very dark. I know I'm using just black paint at the moment. What I've also learned is, obviously, when you do the super secret flicky technique, you get a lot of paint in a dot. They're generally very soft, so you either have to wait hours and hours and hours for them to go off, or to sit them with a hairdryer, and then just be a bit careful when you hit them with any direct air, because they will tend to have it of bursting, and then the paint that's underneath will come back out again. So there is a bit of a, have to be a bit careful. red. No, light red. So I will now move on to an airbrush that I haven't cleaned. What I didn't tend to do, I was using Tuesday, was it Monday or Tuesday? Monday night I was painting. And what I do when I finish, I literally fill it up with reducer and just leave it. So what I do is I spray a tiny bit of it through. So it's still coming out blue. And then I've got these tiny little brushes and I just clean it with the reducer that's being in there to stop it from going. I'm very lazy, I don't spend hours and hours cleaning my guns out. I generally leave them as I've finished with them because because I'm in a lucky situation where I'm painting quite regularly. Nothing really has time to go off. So finger over the end, agitate it, tissue, finger in, swirl it round. Reducer. This stuff, if you've not heard of this before, it's a Hobbynox Airbrush Paint SP Reducer Stroke Cleaner, 120mm, HN 221. This stuff is super. I mean, like, it just seems to melt paint. So a tiny bit in the cup, finger on the end, whiz it up a bit. I then take the needle out, and then I've got one of these little brushes with a little tiny little tip on it. Bend that in there, whiz that about a bit. And then needle back in. I do need to get some better lights, yes. You see these people, they post, oh yeah, I spend hours and hours cleaning my brushes, this is my technique, and I'm like, I spend probably 5 minutes on mine, and then maybe every so often when it won't spray, I might give it a little bit more effort and take it apart. But then that's my own fault for taking so long between paint sessions of cleaning it. Right, that's running clear now. So, red. So for those of you listening on headphones, I bet that sounds lovely. So these are the wrappings that come around my knife blades. They also work quite well as the testers to make sure the colour's coming out right. And then ideally you take a really deep breath of air just as you start spraying and get a gobful of it. So this is currently at about 45 psi on an Iwata Eclipse with a standard needle. I mean, in the past I've always worn a mask, but I've just kind of learnt now, if I hold the shell at a certain angle, then it doesn't get in the face. Yeah, Hobbynox, I mean, half the time I'm walking around with paint on my hands and doesn't really... I went through a stage of wearing gloves, but I then found that they became very sweaty and very uncomfortable, and Hobbynox paint is water-based, so a good tap and off you go again. But don't do what I do, which is paint till 1 or 2 in the morning and then are so tired you just go straight to bed and then get up in the morning and you've still got paint up your fingers and up your nose. You can generally tell what I've been spraying by what I blow my nose in the morning, which is probably not the healthiest way of doing it. Like the old bogey to be like a luminous pink. And I use the same trick. I hold it up to the light and see where it needs more colour. I'm generally trying to do as thin a coat as possible, because obviously race weight, you want it as light as you can. But also you don't want it to look patchy, because you won't know until you hit it with the white backing. So holding it up to a light, you can kind of see which bits you need a bit more paint. But it's just a case of just repeating that process. And trying not to go too thick where it'll give like because this is going to be quite a bright red. The thicker the paint, the darker the colour will be, so it will look patchy. So it's trying to be consistent. Over the course of the whole shell. I'm assuming the owner of this has still got the headlights, because I really couldn't find them. Right, so trust me, that is bright red going on pink. So a little bit of heat now to make that go off. Half the process, the most time consuming side of this hobby is cleaning the bloody guns out between paint jobs. Right, so that's the red done. So little splash of reducer, little brush, and give it a whiz about, agitate it. In theory, this is only so it's black, white, red, yellow, 4 colours. So, and that's the red done and dusted. Finger over the end. Get the bubbles going. I've got an old bit of carpet wrapped around here, and I just spray into the carpet. And touch wood, it hasn't actually dropped onto the compressor yet, because the compressor is just there. Because I want to be able to still get to the regulator on it to adjust the pressure every so often. Right, cut the drops, literally drops. That's that one done. So I've done the black, I've done the red, I've got the white and the yellow, so I don't need that black anymore. So I put the reducer in from that one into that one. Swap that over. That one's ready to go now. So this one can now be yellow. But there's actually way too much black in there. I'm not prepared to throw it away. There's a tiny bit of reducer in there, which won't hurt. Bear in mind there's 120 odd mil, where we should be to start with. Am I coming across all right? I know I'm kind of muttering to myself. It's my own fault for sort of just not telling anyone I was going to do this. I just decided, bollocks, I'm just going to go live. Maybe I shouldn't swear. Anyway, bit more PSI now. I hope I got some more reducer. Result, a brand spanker. I wanted to see how quickly I could do this on a live stream, but I'm already way past what I thought I'd be. Last little bit. Also with black as well, it's the hardest colour change for the brush. It's also the easiest to tell you haven't got the colour right, you haven't got it out yet. So it's always much harder to change from black, definitely to like a bright colour, which I'm going to go to next. This is old racing carpet, so works very well at soaking up paint. Right, clean guns. Always make sure it's a low heat. If you hit it with too hard, it will dry the paint too quickly and it will crack, and you can see it literally crack in front of your eyes. So then you have to add another layer of the same colour. You have to gently dry. Obviously it goes from like a high gloss to a very matte black, no matte colour, and I know it's gone off. Yes, Scott, I can't really talk about that yet. I don't know what's happening. I'm checking my emails every, I'd say every 5 minutes, which I have been for the past week. Whatever happens, I am going to turn this energy positive. So, I mean, if I get the job, brilliant. I'll be, well, you'll know about it. But if I don't get the work, I will turn the whole situation as positive as I can, because it's given me a real focus. Well, that was flat. That was really flat. Right, so now you have the red done. Where's my white? Same thing. What I do, all the paints I use are Hobby-Knox, but I only use the black and the black and the white are Createx. So detail white. These have to be detail. You don't have to, but I won't paint with anything else. So detail white, detail black. And I decided to buy the 480mm and distill it as I need it, like I've done with the other one. But I couldn't get the 480mm in the black, so I had to buy two 240s. But then distill it again into reducer bottles. So I've got the white to do. Back the red. Let's do that first before I get too ahead of myself. And you'll know when you've agitated it enough, because it'll come out a nice smooth. If it comes out like comes out of there like toothpaste, either your paint area is too cold, you've not agitated it enough. So PSI's up now. I'm trying to stay away from the direct spray. Sounds like a kettle whistling. You hear that? Oh, it doesn't do it now. I don't think this has ever whistled. So I'm listening to sports report on my phone, and I'm listening to Andy Murray, and it's making me want to go to sleep. What did I have on? Right, that one. Oh, my wife's ringing me. I'll be back in a second. Hello? Hello? Sorry? sorry about that. So with the Fun Police and the copyrights, I can't listen to anything and stream it while I'm in the background. So at the moment I'm listening to a mix by Dom Dollar. It's an Australian dude. It's very good. There's a Kylie song on there, which I don't really like Kylie, but I just thought it was brilliant. So Todd, so when you say it's dried up inside, has it gone like a putty? All I would do is I would stick it in reducer, and then I would use a really sharp pair of tweezers, and I would just lightly go around and scratch it until and then leave it to soak for maybe half an hour, and then it's just a case of just digging it out with a I've got, where is it? I've got, here it is. It's a reamer, airbrush reamer. You're not going to be able to see in this. So it's like an airbrush blade, but it's been grinded flat on one edge, so it's like so when it turns, it digs. They're very good for digging out bits and bobs. There's what I'm listening to at the moment. For some reason I really like that. Because if I played music on I'd get in trouble with the Fun Police. Right, so I had yellow, right, there. So it picked the corner out, and I did the window masks in yellow as well. Where the liquid mask has just got slightly warm with the heat as well, it becomes flexible, so it stretches a bit more and it's a bit harder to pull out. So any direct heat, let it cool back down again if you want to pick it out, because it does give it a stretch. Where else is yellow? There, that bit. Obviously, the less you can touch the paint surface, the better, especially with the hands. Sorry, direct hand touch. So this has all been pre-cleaned, and my hands were washed, and I haven't picked my nose since I started, or scratched my face, or anywhere else. What did I do on the bonnet? Was yellow, right there. As I said, don't pick at the point, pick 2 or 3 centimeters away from it. And now, window masks. So I've gone round and cut an inner window. Now, that's more a knife work thing than a paint thing, because you could be the best painter in the world, but if you've not cut your shell out properly, it doesn't matter how good your painting is, you're not going to polish a turd. So the better your knife work is, the better your paint work will look. It says that I've got to a bit I missed. This is where getting the thickness of your liquid mask is really important, because this would just simply not come off consistently. And the beauty is, where I've just found a bit that's a bit proud, after the paint's dry, I can just literally rub it off before it goes off, because the paint's obviously soft. Yellow. Did I open this one? Nope. Yep. There's not enough in there. I'll try. So, 2 colours left. Obviously I would have another hour's worth of work if I was doing lights and grills. This is normally the fun bit at the end. God, that sounds so nerdish. Always test it on something, because a little bit of orange, a bit of red came out then. I'm trying to keep away from the red, so I'm aiming it at the mask so that I don't, although I've backed the red with white, I don't want to get too much other colour on there. It's kind of it's learning how much paint you need to use, because the less applicating of paint you can get away with, the faster everything dries, and the less weight the body shell will weigh when it races. So obviously now this shell's warm, so this liquid mask might be a bit of a git. But I'm not touching the surface with my fingers. Always, any leverage points I'm using old liquid mask, well, liquid mask I'm about to peel off, and I'm leveraging my finger off of it. did forget to cut the window, the rear wing, because I leave the mask on. So if you get a body shell from me, unless you've requested a colour rear wing, always do it clear. I think they just look, from a personal taste point of view, I think they look better clear. I mean, these things don't look like cars anyway, but they really don't look like a car with a sodding great wing on it. So they look a little better scaled. I don't say they look any more like a proper car, but I think they look nicer with a clear wing. And when you're on track, you don't really need to see the wing. So there we are, there's all the liquid mask so far. All you've got left are the window panels, which are the last thing to come out. Let's make sure it's dry. And if you're going to be successful with painting, tweezers are the most important thing you can. So some really sharp ones, the kind that when you drop them, they stick in your knee and twang like that, or the top of your leg. And you're like, the amount of times I've dropped them by accident. You learn to prepare yourself. Right, so that yellow is finished with. So me being lazy, a little bit of reducer, wiggle it up, that's ready for next time. I'm not a person that will spend hours taking my guns apart for the sake of it. I wait till there's a problem. Now, this, if I was doing lights and grills to this would add another hour to it straight away. And as it goes, this design hasn't got like lots of shading and minimal colour changes, so this is actually pretty quick. Super quick. But I've normally got, I don't know, so look posh. These are ones that I've forgotten about and they've gone completely hard, so I've got to sort them out. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I have 6 guns in total, and I always have a light and a dark I always have two guns when I paint, always. That's just a personal choice thing. So then again, you're looking up to see if there's any bits that I've really got too thick or too light. I mean, the too thick bits, that's it, you're tough, you're done. But the light bits you can obviously add more to. And there we go. An hour and 8 minutes. But it's the getting to there. So there's an hour's cutting, there's at least an hour's drawing, at least. I mean, I could draw it all night sometimes. It's all right drawing one side, you then got to match it the other side, which is where I recommend using a vernier. So I will literally measure that side and then measure that, and then I'll do the point there and there, and then halfway down there, and then I'll draw the compound thing until it looks right. I know a lot of people use tape and paper and stencil it over, and I've just realised now if I draw to lines in the body shell, so I'll keep along that edge, so I know that edge is the same, and I know I'm 10mm away from that door shut line, then I know I've got to do the same there. Just draw to what you've got, so I've got that point finishing at the bottom of that skirt, so I know that one there's the same, and that line there. It's just learning over time how's easiest to draw. Right, so now I'm picking this out while the paint's still wet. So this is me being a bit impatient. Window 1. Two. Just how to get my hands in there without getting while it's wet. Liquid masks, two coats, a light thin coat and then a much thicker coat. Light coat, you can be a bit more aggressive on the heat. There was a bit of a bleed line, so while it's still fresh you can rub it out. So the first coat you do light. Be careful how you dry it. If you blast it with too much heat, it crackles up and it hurts it, and then it sticks to the shell so hard that you can't peel it off it very easily, or it goes into little bits and it's like confetti and you can't get the bloody stuff off. So I always do a thin light coat and then I do a much thicker coat, like twice the thickness, and leave that to go off as much as I can a day or overnight. So the idea now is I'm trying to put as many fingerprints on the outside before I take nice photos as possible. So I put them nicely over the window. I've got one there, I've got one there. So when I put some nice pictures up, you'll see my fingerprints all over it. Damn it! I should have learned to keep your fingers away from the windows when at least until you take some nice photos. There you are. An hour and 12 minutes. But obviously there's no shading on that. It's just general. I call this like a cartoony style, but it's all in the prep. So the paint bit's actually the easy bit. if you've got the right temperature, if your paints are, your brushes are all clean. There's so many variables. If you get them all lined up, it's actually quite enjoyable. Anyway, rather than me rabbit on too much, because I'm finding this awkward, if you did find this useful, let me know. I could easily have my fingers bent around my back and I could do more of these, but I found last time I was getting too many people copying me and it was starting to upset me. So I might not go into the finite of how I do the bits that I find unique to me, but as the general purpose goes, I can give tips and advice. So I'm no academic or anything, but I like watching paint dry. So, good morning, good evening, no, it's good morning, good afternoon, good evening and good night.